You are listening to Overwatch League Network, the podcast with Deadeye on all the latest Overwatch League news and information. The show with Tactical Visor on all of these statistics and analysis. Here are your hosts, Booger and Nura.
What is up, and welcome to Overwatch League Network, episode number 130 with Booger and Anura. Anura, before we get started, outside of Overwatch, how's your week been?
Good week. I just got two jobs, so I went from one job to a job and a side job, so I have more money. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Other than that, I celebrated my brother's birthday. It was a good time with family. Other than that, really watching Overwatch, whether it's tier 2 or it's tier 1. Just been enjoying some time with some friends too. So it's been a good weekend.
Oh, yeah. I spent as much time as I could watching Overwatch League this weekend, and other time, actually, I've been playing a lot of Valorant. It's a pretty fun game. I thought I wasn't gonna like it, and I'm wrong a lot, so nothing else is new. But we had like the first week of games back since the May Melee, and we had, uh, you know, some pretty good games. But we also had some celebrity guests, and it was very interesting. They had Spice Adams, an NFL star, come and join Bryn and Sideshow to cast, and they even had an interview in between with Tay Zonde, who was famous for the viral video song Chocolate Rain. So that was actually pretty interesting. But having Spice Adams join Bryn and Sideshow to cast was absolutely hilarious, but maybe for the wrong reasons. I don't know how much of it that you got to catch, but they alluded to the fact that they had um, they had Sideshow working with him the day before, like teaching him what some of the characters were and showing him around Blizzard World, because they were taking someone who's an NFL pro and just tossing them into Overwatch League, and it was absolutely just plain weird. I know you mentioned you didn't catch the whole thing. What did you think about this? Did you think it took away from the game, or do you think that it was just a pretty funny meme to be having around?
Well, I didn't mention it. Like I was watching, and then he started, and I was like, I can't handle this personally. And I stopped. I liked him. They did side segments with him on Blizzard World with Echo, and that's why he's been talking about Echo on Blizzard World. But I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where it's like when it's a live game, I do just want the live commentary to be as informative as possible for the audience. It just wasn't there for me. But the side YouTube series was actually it's fantastic. I loved it. I found it hilarious. I didn't think you should bring that to the live area. I liked it as like a side segment when you're waiting for new games. You put that up, you let people watch that, just like they keep the entertainment there. Or maybe do what they did with Tazon Day. Later on, I don't think we talked about that, but Tazon Day, he went into a half game what do they call it? The mid game show with Zoe and all of them for the analysts, and he talked about the Valiant game and how he's a Valiant fan. I'd much rather that happen, or maybe a post show, them go over or play with him, do something else that's not exactly live, so it doesn't distract from the game itself. Because for me personally, it just like tore away from the game. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't like this guy. He doesn't know what's going on, talking about the game when I'm trying to see what's going on.
yeah,
But he is funny. He is funny. I do enjoy him. I think he's a good person to have for the league to show like the people who might not understand what's going on, just maybe not in the game
yeah.
in future.
I thought it was hilarious, but I was kind of laughing at the train wreck factor is what I would call it. You could tell that they kind of
Yeah.
like showed him a little bit about Overwatch, but he doesn't seem to me like a gamer as far as Overwatch. He does not play Overwatch. So pulling him in was definitely like for star power and pretty much star power alone. So I is kind of weird. Like, and I also think that the dynamic wasn't quite right. Like some of the fights were going on, and he would just start yelling and be like, "Whoa, whoa!" And then you could tell Bryn was getting a little frustrated and like trying to play by play with this guy just screaming it. And like some of the stuff he said was really funny. One of the clips they showed Tracer, he goes, "Man, that guy's running like a 4.2, 440 or something." And I don't know the football stats. You might be able to help, but in my understanding, that means running a really fast, like 400-yard
Fast.
dash. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Tracer. So I was like, okay, so he understands what's going on. Then at halftime, they like, because he did map 2 out of the 3-map series that Toronto Defiant smashed the Vancouver Titans. I mean, it wasn't the biggest smashing of the weekend, but Vancouver, they didn't stand a chance against Defiant this time. And I actually have a sound clip of Spice Adams' advice to the Titans during halftime, and I'm going to play that real quick. It's super short.
The Titans need to just forget about the band and unlock Echo and turn everybody to waffles.
He says they should forget about the band and turn everybody to waffles. Like,
you can't make that shit up. You can't make it up.
You really can't. Like throughout this whole thing, he kept referencing Echo and how Echo can turn the team into waffles, or Echo shoots waffles, and I'm like, I don't understand what he was seeing. Like when she shoots, I see the little 3, the try projectile. Like to me, that isn't waffles. Like where is it? It's just so absurd. I love it.
Yeah, it was from the last YouTube video they did where they talked about Echo as the new hero and like what she can do. And he somehow brought it to waffles. And once you understand something, you just roll with it. He was rolling with it. Like I don't mind him. I wish he stays in the league. I hope Sideshow keeps doing the segments with him. I think that was a failed experiment. I don't mind them doing stuff like this because they're trying it out. And honestly, that game might not even matter at the end of the day. But it's still kind of like, you tried it. If you try it again, it's like,
and I also
try
think,
me once. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, like the way that he was coming in at all the wrong times, and it could be Sideshow and Bryn, they have built up chemistry. They know how to talk to each other. So like that's one of the things that they can do, and he just really wasn't part of that. And I feel like they really, I don't know how they could say this the proper way, but they needed to kind of tell him, even though he's the star power, to kind of like know your place and quiet down and like let them talk about the games, and then you led the jokes and stuff in between fights, in between rounds. But how you gonna tell the star power, like, they got him on there just because he's famous? How they gonna kind of tell him, don't talk as much? Like, you can't really do that. And I don't think there's a big chance that he's gonna spend a lot of time watching Overwatch League to like understand how the casters cast. Like, that's literally an art form that is really hard, that they spend a ton of time working on. So even if there are hiccups and stuff along the way, they spent a lot of time with it, and he's just kind of like a known third party entity just jumping into it. But I do have to say, all of the waffle jokes were absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I kind of hope that they find a way to handle this. But also, you did kind of hit on something, that they really did it on a game with pretty low stakes. Like Toronto versus Titans are kind of bottom of the league. They, and it is the battle for Canada, but the battle for Canada does not have the reputation like the battle for California or the battle for Texas, when you're going to see like, I slid Texas in there, but like for the battle of California, where you're going to see strong teams. So I don't know, maybe that they start bringing some different guest casters along for like hype games, like that are meant to be rivalries. But at the same time, I really hope that if they decide to do this again, they at least kind of like veer towards someone with Overwatch experience, even if it's just someone that's played, some of the casters are plat. They're literally, some of them are plat. Like, you don't have to be super good at it to understand it.
I forgot who put this up, but like even if they switch Tazon Day, who is a guy who plays Overwatch,
Yeah.
watches Overwatch League almost weekly. I think he watches at least every Valiant game, and put him into a map. I think it would have been so much better than what they did with I already forgot his name.
Spice
But
Adams.
Spice Adams, yeah. It's just you need someone who understands the game to at least like enjoy it and like I think appreciate what's going on versus just like trying to make it funny and trying to make it like his own thing when it's really he should be the sideshow, which is funny because sideshow.
Yeah,
But
that was good.
but yeah, overall, like I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I just hope they don't do it again with him. I hope they show more side content, stuff for YouTube, stuff for when you're waiting on the games. I hope he comes in for that.
Yeah, that I feel the same way. Like if this became a regular thing, it would get old pretty fast. But I think I just kind of got sucked in by the train wreck factor, and like you could definitely tell that Bryn was not as patient with him as Sideshow was, and maybe that has to do with him being the one that's more of the play by play, and that's who they kind of stepping over each other. Like even learning how to podcast, you have to learn how to not step over on each other's sentences and whatnot. So I don't know. I definitely like I'm like you. I've had a blast watching it, but I wouldn't if it was every week. No way. This would not be something I would want to happen every week. But speaking of every week, it seems like every week lately we have something to talk about with the Vancouver Titans. And this week we got a little bit of information, kinda, about Fisher. They released that Fisher was terminated for cause, not just cause, not for multiple causes, just terminated
Not for
cause.
claws, no, like for
Like,
cause.
and it reading this definitely could be like another thing with a translation issue, but at the same time, this is like legit like pro level sports is what we want the Overwatch League to be. You can't just say he's terminated cause. Like even if it's a translation issue, get it translated better. I don't know. Like this to me was kind of jaw dropping, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but it seems like Fissure, man, I don't know. It just seems weird. He's the only one that got that weird wording on the release statement. Now they said terminated cause. Like I
Yeah.
kind of want to get his side of the story. I need to know. I don't think we're really gonna find out the details of this anytime soon. I think this might be something that they make like a mini documentary about for YouTube years down the line. Because right now, it's just, man, what's going on?
So in his eyes, he thinks he shouldn't have been terminated like that. I know he had the huge thing. That's what brought this whole thing back up. That's what made Overwatch League have to investigate and what happened. Was he didn't sign an NDA with the team, which means he could talk about what happened with the Vancouver Titans and why it was so bad, and why he basically hates the new Titans because of obvious reasons. But he just said like I don't understand. Like they just said I was terminated and I don't get the money that I should have gotten because they're releasing me. He feels like he deserves the money that he got because he was willing to stay for the team. He said he was willing to stay with the team. He doesn't care that it was NA. He doesn't care that it was Eastern. He tried to learn English. He tried to help the team out because he really wanted this to be his last season as a player and to really make it like this is it. I stayed with the team this whole year. I did what I needed to do. I'm good. I'm set. I'm satisfied basically. And it just like it ended like this where he got kicked out. For no reason that we don't know. Like we don't know why he got kicked out. It's for cause, whatever that means. But at the end of the day, like I don't think Vancouver could have paid for him. So I don't know. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what's gonna happen. But It's sad to see him go. It's sad to see something that happen like this with a guy who's historically like been the problem on a team. Try to stay with a team and the team being the problem. It really does hurt. But overall, like I actually hope he comes back next year on a new team. I hope he like finds something that he wants to do. I hope he finds a team that will keep him, that he wants to be on, that he can do whatever. But if he retires, he retires. Like I don't blame him after this.
Yeah, can just speculation detour right now. Just imagine Fisher decides to come back next year, joins a team, they pop off and win all of it. That will be the most amazing redemption arc imaginable, because he has had so many just spoiled endings to teams so far. And like, I don't really know. Like, if I was Fisher, I don't know if I would try to keep going, or I don't know if he has interest at other games. But it's kind of sad to see so like controversy surrounding him now. That's really doesn't seem to be his fault. Like, that seems kind of rough, especially from someone that had such high expectations coming into the league. So, we're going to keep our eyes open and see if we get any information about him coming to another team, either for the end of this year or during the offseason for next year. That pretty much leaves Fissure and Sienminsu as just about the only former Titans, and Jaehong. That leaves them for the only former Titans that haven't found a team as of yet. So those are some people I got my eyes on to see if they're going to, end up on a team. But then, this weekend was the first weekend we had where games come back. It had been 2 or 3 weeks with no games, and we got to see the weekend open up with a Shanghai versus London Spitfire. And guess what, Anura? Shanghai Dragons still legit. They won over London 3-0. Yeah, did you get to catch this game?
I saw a little bit afterwards. I think I saw the ending actually.
Yeah.
But overall, like this game really just shows that Shanghai's on top. But also it shows that London does have two squads. And so the first two maps they played one squad. I'm not gonna go through the whole roster. But second map, they put in their second squad, not second map, but the third map, the final map, they put in their second squad, and they looked a lot better. They looked really good. So it looks like they have an A and B team that they're trying to give hours to see which one's really good in this meta. And I really hope that they bring them maybe next week, because now that we have 2 weeks hero pools, you can actually like develop the meta. We might see more of the second squad come in and like really show what they can do.
Yeah.
Because I was impressed by them. They're playing against one of the best teams. Last time they went to map 5. This time it just wasn't there. This London squad isn't bad. Like they have their ups and downs, but they aren't bad. I'm excited to see what they can do next.
Yeah, it's also, I found it seemed like most of this year Shanghai has been playing Lip on DPS. He's played, I feel like, most maps, and then this game they had Lip switch out for DM, so they had a Fleta DM line, and they just was a little bit flexible. It seemed like most of the weeks Lips got a majority time, and it seemed they were split pretty even here. So I don't know if maybe that's something to do with how they were playing London or the current meta, but they definitely were spreading their playtime out. And then, you know, directly after that, we got to see Hawksall's debut with the New York Excelsior. And they took on Seoul Dynasty, and New York stomped them 3-0. Hawksall, just like he played Genji in this series. We got to see the Hawksall Genji. We got to see Jonak Nano a Hawksall Blade, and at least a couple of them were pretty devastating. It wasn't, that's not what they played the full series, but Seoul definitely. This did not look like the Seoul. This showed up to the melee that played it down to the finals and literally took a 3-0 lead against Shanghai. This did not look like that Seoul. So more inconsistencies with Seoul. And what else is new this year? That's been kind of the story of Seoul. Some weeks they look like the best team in Asia. Some weeks they just got 3-0'd.
Yeah. We're talking. I don't know what to say about this team. Like, it's. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this team. Overall, though, Haxel was looking great. I mean, I don't like Seoul's looking weird. I don't. They remind me of Chengdu of last year, where they either looked really good in the game or like really bad. But it's not the same because Chengdu kind of just like plays up their opponents. Seoul just looks really good or really bad. They did bring Slime in. I mean, he looked all right. I don't. Maybe in my Excel, their new DPS line is just that good.
Possible.
But
Yeah.
also, like Soul just looks bad. Soul just they don't look good at all. I don't know what to say other than like get better. I don't understand what's happening. You look really good some weeks. This should have been a double shield week, and you guys still sucked. They were playing weird comps. I think they played like Monkey Ball or they had like a Monkey Zarya comp. Did not understand that at all. Don't know what you're going for. Weird. I mean, and Mike Excel just outplayed you like fair and square. In every way. I mean, Nene Haxel looks like a dangerous duo, like top 5, maybe top 3 duo.
Yeah, that was
It's
that
go
was
ahead.
something to mention that when they put Hawksall in, they opted to run him with Nene, who pretty much hasn't played this season. And their DPS duo a lot of the season has been Who Are You with Libero or SBB. That's pretty much what they played. So this was completely new look. I might be wrong, but I think this was the first game Nene played this year as well. So I guess
I think he played early this year.
you think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was in New York earlier, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you could be right, but he definitely has had a very small minority of their playtime. Like he came from last year, he was Zarya on the Goats teams, so seeing Nene back, and he was playing good too. So that was really really good to see. I think he's gonna be. I think Nene actually has quietly has a really good tracer.
Quietly. No, he's
Yeah,
good.
no, but when you say who's the best tracers in the Overwatch League, Nene's not in the first 3 or 4. You're gonna say like Decay, you're gonna say Yaki, Prophet,
People would have said Sabiolbi, but
SBB.
they
Yeah,
also
exactly.
gotta understand Sabiolbi's been benched for Nene on Tracer multiple times before.
That is very true.
So it's like you've got to understand Nene's a top talent. This guy is good. You don't mess with Nene. There's some rumors of him getting traded. That's obviously not happening. The only reason he wasn't playing earlier is because he had back problems and he was stuck in New York while they're in Korea. He's finally back. He's going to show why he's a top DPS and why they picked him up. NYXL is looking dangerous, really, really dangerous. This is where they're starting to like actually show their stuff. They didn't play Mandu, which is who I think we kind of like highlighted last time. That's coming up, but they didn't need to. Like the DPS line showed it for them. They're a top team. They're going to continue being a top team. And maybe they can finally break that curse of just like not showing off in playoffs with their electric DPS that they have right now. Because I love Libero. I think he's a great player. I don't see him playing over Haxel right now. They have great DPS in the back lines, but I think right now you need to stick with this duo as long as you can and really show off your stuff. Because I mean, they look like they play well together. NYXL's looking more aggressive, which has never happened before, and I'm super excited to see what comes next.
For sure, for sure. And while we're on the topic of debuts, we got to see Sparkle's debut this week with Paris. And it was a debut against Boston. And it went to map 5.
This isn't surprising.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Boston's definitely looking better. They've made a couple pickups that's starting. Their cylinders are starting to roll. They're not the Boston we saw earlier this season that was the laughing stock of the team, even though they're still or laughing stock of the league, even though they're still kind of the laughing stock of the league right now because it's hard to be worse than Boston. But
at least you aren't Justice. At least you aren't, Vancouver. That's what they're at right now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I would, seeing Sparkle, I was saying, I think even I said last week that we wouldn't really judge him too much off of the Boston game because we want to see him against like tough opponents. And then they go to map 5. So it's kind of like maybe this is just part of the script to get the most Sparkle time that we can. But it's also important to note this is Paris has Sparkle now, but they still don't have XZ, who preseason the Sparkle XZ duo was just like, you know, had a lot of hype behind it, and it still hasn't come together. We've seen him play with a little bit with Soon and a little bit with Nico, but Soon has that potential to be that player and to pop off and to be like a really good second DPS to Sparkle. But I really think that this team is not going to hit its final form till XD is back. And I know that's kind of like up in the air, weird. We don't know when it's going to happen. He's been out for, I think he just said he left America for medical issues. So I don't know if it's like something little or something serious.
I think it was neck pains. I think that was
Yeah.
what it was.
I was trying to remember if they said neck or back or something like that, but at the same time, like that's very vague and it doesn't really give us any sort of idea of when, if he could be back. So, yeah, I definitely think that Sparkle had so much hype coming into this debut that it would be really hard for him to live up to the hype with just one game. Like we're gonna need to see more of him, but at the same time, he looked pretty good.
He looked good.
But you
He
went
looked
to
pretty
map
good.
5 with Boston.
Boston's looking better.
I don't know.
Boston's looking better. I know it kind of sucks that they went to map 5, and I also think it's weird that they played Nico on Kings Row the way they did. But I mean, overall, like I'm not mad at his performance. Like he clutched the first map on Genji. Like that's unheard of. This dude was getting 4Ks after being slept, and his nano went out. Like this dude popped off. He did what he needed to do. I think the team's gonna have a little bit of troubles because it's the first time playing with him. But once they really start rolling, he's a top DPS talent. I mean, honestly. Overall, like I've been enjoying this lineup. I think as soon as XZ comes back, we can see full on Paris. They should be a top team. If they're not, like they failed because they have the talent now. Looks like the coaching's all right. Right now, they're playing a hot Boston, a really, really hot Boston. I'm not mad that they went to map 5. There's arguments that maybe they shouldn't have, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm gonna fight people on it. Boston's looking better. Paris is looking like they have a star. After not having one, I know Soon's good. He's just never been the star talent for me. Nico looks like he's a good role player. He can play whatever you want. He might pop off. He might just suck. And I mean, I think if they can really bring out their tank line a little bit more, personally, that's where I think they need to improve a little bit more, and they could really be a top team, especially if XC comes back.
Yeah, you're right on there. I'm totally right there with you. It seems like their main tank, they switch out No Spite and Bid and Best a little bit. And I think out of all the positions, I think main tank is one of the harder positions to be rotating because a lot of times the main tank will be the rotation caller, and a lot of your setups, a lot of things are based around the main tank. So I think that that's one of the harder positions to have like a revolving door in, like some DPS and different supports depending on the pools. Like I can understand how that can be, have a revolving door, switch them out a little bit, but the main tank is a little bit weird. While we're talking about Paris, let's take a little trip down speculation lane. How good would they be if they signed Fissure in final form? Speaking of needing a good main tank, that would be insane.
I mean, I don't know. I think they'd be good. I think Fisher's probably an improvement. I just don't know how well he's going to fit with this team overall. And I don't know if Paris is going to have the money, the money for this. They have so many star players that they've just signed. This is just like, I know it's speculation of if he did get on the team. I think they'd be improved. I really do.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see it. I think Paris would really be good with that. But I don't know. Like, I'd love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, this is this season I kind of have opened a little soft spot for Paris in my fandom. Like they'll never be an Outlaws, but I definitely enjoy the team and I want them to do well. Like almost anytime I watch a Paris game, I find myself rooting for them to win. And I realized this weekend I was like, man, I've been rooting for Paris pretty regularly, and I didn't even mean to. Like now if they play the Outlaws, get 3-0. Like I would never root for anyone against the Outlaws, but Paris is getting to be a pretty fun team to watch. And speaking of fun teams to watch, we have the Florida Mayhem win over the Dallas Fuel in a 3-1 victory. Florida still looking hot. And man, this is, when I see this, I think of all those Florida Mayhem fans that stuck with them through the first 2 seasons when they were like dog poop. They were like at one point they had the worst win rate out of every team in the entire league over all time. And that was what Florida, where they were at. And now they are legit still. And anybody that plays Dallas, I feel like Dallas can take a map off of anyone just off of Decay getting insane. Like I don't think there's anybody that Dallas couldn't take a map off of. So 3-1 against Dallas, and they looked good. And we kind of questioned, I do believe last week we questioned Florida being able to play against some of these teams when they were running a large amount of echo. They played quite a bit of it, and they are known for being big fans of the Brigitte. So seeing Florida still look strong, no echo, no brig, and they're still strong. To be a Florida fan, this has got to be a great time, especially the ones that stuck with them when they were down. But yeah, so
Yeah.
what you think about Florida
So
right now?
right now, I was not expecting them to be good at this meta. I was
Yeah,
not
me neither.
expecting. I wasn't expecting Chris to be so. He wasn't like super impressive on Baptiste, but he played really well. So props to him. I know I give him a lot of crap, but like he looked really good in the Baptiste. I think one person I really want to highlight, although he's been good before, was BQB. Actually stood pretty well against Decay. Meanwhile, Doha on the other side did not look good. I don't think he looked good at all. He's not a hit scan player. It shows, and it looks like Decay won't play with any of the other players, or the other players are playing Valorant. Let's be honest, the other DPS players on the Dallas Fuel, and so they really don't have a second hit scan to go back to, and it showed. Doha did not look strong this game. I wouldn't blame Paintbrush for this. It's his first game on this new team. I think he came in Wednesday, like out of like the airport. So although he might have been scrimming, he at least lost some scrim time traveling. I mean, like they have time to mesh, but this was not Dallas's meta. It looks like Florida. They said that like they looked weaker at this meta. It did not show this match at all. BQB Doha, not BQB. BQB Decay. No, fucking BQB and Yaki looked really good. And although it's they're playing against Decay, it looks like they're the better duo overall and more well-rounded. So I've been really enjoying Florida Mayhem. It looks like they're staying the top team that we saw during the May Melee. So I'm excited to see them play again.
Oh, for sure. And like I've been really enjoying watching Florida win because I like the underdog factor. But that's starting to wear out. They're not really that much of underdogs no more. They're getting to be, high level. And they won they were really high. They didn't win, but they were really high in the May Melee. And Florida's just, I don't know. They definitely have a turnaround story. They're almost like, Shanghai turned it around from season 1, and now Florida's turned it around. Like it's really, really great to see these teams come back. And now I guess it's the time you've been waiting for to talk about the Gladiators pop off and beat Atlanta Reign this weekend. And I made a note that I thought Birdring played insane really well. And you made the note that LH Cloudy was a badass. So yeah.
Large, huge, cloudy. This man was in your back line before you even knew it. I love this play. People might say he was feeding. I say it's a tactical feed if you say he's feeding. If not, I think this was the game plan anyway. So what's the matter? So like overall, what was happening is first of all, Bird Ring popped off map 1. I mean, he was just hitting headshots left and right. And honestly, I don't know what Atlanta's doing. They don't look really well coached. And I think they looked like they were just running into the team with their players, and it just did not look clean at all. Meanwhile, Gladiators had a really not strict, but like a good game plan going into this game. I mean, they played Winston when they wanted to play Winston. They played Ryan. They played whatever they want. But it really came. We do need to talk about Blizzard World, where Atlanta rolled through Gladiators, making a world record for Blizzard World as the fastest attack. But other than that, Gladiators look dominant. I mean, overall, I don't think Atlanta really knew what to do against first Bird Ring in the first map, and then later on, LH Cloudy being in their back line, trying to solo shatter people and charge into them. It was a sight to behold. Like, I mean, I loved it. I enjoyed it more than anything, honestly. I thought it was hilarious. I thought, how is this working? It looks like it's a ranked game, and they're just going in. And I mean, Atlanta couldn't handle it. You can tell that they weren't ready for it at all. And I enjoyed every minute of this game, personally. I think Birdwing really showed off that he's still a top widow. I think LH Cloudy showed that his ranked games, which he's been doing this for over 700 games now and ranked since the season started, the exact same thing he just did in that game. And it's still a top. I think he's right now top 30 in the world. He was top 10 for a bit. So I mean, like, he shows that this can work, and you're gonna have to prepare for it because I think they're gonna do it again, and I love it.
Oh, for sure. It's always good to see your team win. So I'm sure that was a pleasure. And it's to me, like, I'm starting to really question, like, I have been for a minute now, actually. Like, what is going on with Atlanta in their lineup choices? Like, I just don't get it. It seems like they have all the talent in the world in all the positions. It's getting to be where it seems like the weak point of Atlanta could possibly be their coaching staff. Like,
I think it's been that.
yeah, and I think that it's just more evident now. Like, we're barely seeing Erster except for sometimes on May. We're seeing just like some weird lineup picks. They have two tank lines that have worked together well before, and they just mix and match them. I get it. Sometimes you're gonna want to do the Gator Poke Po for double main tank when they play like Ryan, Orisa, and stuff. But most of the time, I would think that Gator and Hawk or Poke Po and FRD, because they're the ones that have experience together. And I don't know, maybe this is just the year where they're growing to, like, learning to play with each other, but they need some consistency going. Like, they really do. And I don't understand. It seems like Atlanta is one of those teams. There's a couple teams this year that just have not played up to the sum of their parts. And that's like a big thing with Atlanta, in my opinion, because they have so much talent, and like, they have the talent of a team that could be top 5, and here they are just like, I think they have a less than 50-50 win rate now, right? So like, I don't get what they're
Yeah,
doing.
with that, there you go, less than 50-50. I don't know. I do agree with you. It's probably the coaching staff. I don't think Steffi's ever been the strongest coach. It seems like they're more player driven. But also, like, what's going on with Erster? I do believe Poke Po could be pretty good in this meta as well. Maybe try him out because I think Gator looked kind of weak this time. I don't know. Like, this team just not. They don't look like they're into it, and they're like, well, it only matters at the end. But like, show some signs of life. I
Yeah.
do think they got outplayed. I do. I think Gladiators looked really clean. I think they looked a lot of, like, very improved compared to where they were at 2 weeks ago and the last time we saw them. But also, Atlanta should not look alive at all that game. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. I think Edison is a good pickup. I don't think Baby Bay is showing up as much as he was earlier. Dogman had some good times, and then he kind of falls flat.
Yeah, he's
I think
real
Hawk's looking
streaky.
fine, but like, I don't know what they're doing with the roster exactly. They have so much talent. It just seems like it's going to waste, or maybe they're like fizzling out. They just don't seem into it, and they really just need to get their team back into it because it just looks bad.
Yeah, they almost look like their team stayed up all night the night before playing Valorant. Like it's just Atlanta's not looking like the Atlanta that we predicted preseason. And they do have time to bring it back, and they keep saying it only matters at the end. But at a certain point, like we're getting close to the end. Like there ain't a whole lot of weeks left, and we don't have full details on how the end tournament's going to be. Like if it's like last year, some teams won't get in, and Atlanta's starting to play the dangerous game of not getting in if they do, like they did in the years past. And at a certain point, it's just like I don't think that it's a valid strategy to lose games so that you can get the tougher games out of the way early in that kind of tournament. Like, I don't know. I don't know what Atlanta's doing, because it'd be one thing if it was like the New York of season one when they were so far ahead that they were going to get the one seed and they'd play goof off maps. Like it's not like that. Like they need map wins, especially since the end of season tournament, because the scheduling has been so weird, especially with that being like kind of different and out of, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, right? They definitely
Yeah.
don't have room to be like not winning games because we'll be better later. Like they don't got that kind of time. If they said that week 1 or 2, okay, but later's now. Start winning or you're not going to be regarded as a top team. And I think Atlanta definitely at the beginning of the season we would have considered them a top tier team, and now they are like mid to bottom mid. Like I don't know, like yeah, Atlanta's a sad story so far, but they got time to bring it back. Speaking of sad stories, we had Philly Fusion beat the Houston Outlaws in what I'm calling the close 3-0. Like
Uh-huh.
okay, so
Yeah.
it was a 3-0, but it wasn't a 3-0 like the Washington Justice got 3-0'd, and it wasn't a 3-0 like Houston just looked completely outmatched and didn't get a point the whole round or anything like that. Like Houston played decent. In map 1, they went 2-1 in control. One of them they won 100-0. Like Houston pulled off a couple good clutch like map finishes and stuff, but who are we kidding? We know that the Outlaws weren't going to beat the Philly Fusion. Philly is pretty damn good. But thing to note, Houston is still running hydration on main tank. And while I think Muma is a cool dude and has been great for the Outlaws in the past, I think that hydration on main tank, like I was stoked when Houston announced hydration was joining the team. And then I started thinking like, where's he going to play at? And he's not going to play over Dante. They're signing Blase too. They already have Linkser. So I was starting to question like how they were going to get him in. And now seeing him on main tank, it's, pretty legit. And I don't know, like he's good at main tank, but they had some really weird things going where they had a map where I believe he was on Sigma while Mecco was on. No, I'm wrong. He was on Winston while Mecco was on somebody else. But then later in another game, Mecco was Winston and Hydration was Ball. And it's like they were trading off back and forth, like different maps, different ones of them were playing Monkey. And normally that's not how things would go. You would normally try to have your Monkey playing the same person playing Monkey every round. But yeah, what do you think about Hydration main tank?
I still think it's better than Muma. Overall, like this game, you've got to look at the standings and understand what's going on. Right now, Houston Outlaws are 5-10. Before this game, they were 5-9. Meanwhile, Philadelphia Fusion is 14-1. They've only lost one game outside of the Florida Mayhem game during the May Melee. That's a thing that you can say.
Yeah,
But
Twister.
but like you shouldn't be that sad over this loss when Obviously, Houston's not at the top. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be with this roster yet. They still have some work to do. They didn't look particularly strong this meta. In general, I don't think they understood it as well as some other teams. They have some work to do before they play my team next week, but they're not bad. You just play the Philadelphia Fusion. Like you're gonna expect to get hit on. Like you're gonna expect to get hit hard, and they did. And I mean, don't fault them for that. If I was Houston Outlaws, I'd be looking at the two teams that just played in the NA Contenders Finals and looking to see if maybe you can sign one or two of those players. But other than that, like, what are you gonna do? Figure something out that works for you. I think Blase looked pretty good when you put him in. I mean, Linkser looked fine. Dante looks amazing on Tracer. Like, just keep Dante. If you can't keep him, I think the whole thing's over. I'm gonna be honest. Like Meko, he's all right. He's not looking the strongest. Hydration's looking like a solid like mid-tier tank, if not like maybe lower. But he looks like he's serviceable. I don't know why they keep subbing in Raucus and Repel after each other. I don't understand that. Like, just play one. I'd actually prefer if you played Repel. I think he has a higher skill ceiling, as much as I think Raucus is pretty good, despite other people saying that. I mean, and Jexay looks fine. He's just not on Lucio where he can carry. Maybe he's not the meta for Outlaws. I don't know, but like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna win the Fusion either way. Like, Fusion's that good.
Yeah, and I think here's another thing with the Outlaws is that they have only been a mixed roster team for this season, and they have been pretty public that all of the non-Korean players on the Outlaws have all committed to trying to fully learn Korean. So I think that's kind of a thing where maybe that's an explanation of what's going on with Meko. I don't think he's been on a mixed roster team before. I think he's only played full Korean teams. And it, language barriers are tough, and it's not something that they can, a week of Duolingo is not going to have them working at like a cohesive type team. So I think that that's definitely something that the Outlaws are going with. And I think that the 100%, when they're all on the same page, they'll be a little bit better. But there might be just one trade or two trades away from being a high level team. But where we're at right now, if the Houston Outlaws are able to make a run and get into the playoffs, I'm going to be stoked on that. It's just not looking like the year for the Outlaws. And I'm not going to stop rooting for them, because in a year or two, when they're doing like the Florida Mayhem is, I'm going to have the best I told you so's.
When they go full Korean mid-season?
If that's what you got to do, well, I don't know. I don't want to see Dante or Linkser go.
No, they're not going to go. But I do think they could get better.
I do think that they are going to be full Korean comms at some point, if not already, because you also have to think, like, even though they have a team that has been talked about as a Western team, Linkster's first language isn't English. And I think, I think he's the only one. So they're not new to like having a player, previously they had a player that spoke a different language originally. So now, like, it's kind of like a thing that you got to get together, and not every team can be like the San Francisco Shock and just mesh instantly. So right now, I'm not saying I've given up hope for the Outlaw season this year. I'm just saying there ain't no chance that they're not going to come into most of their games as the underdog the rest of the year. And it's just how it goes sometimes. They're still going to be my favorite team, and hopefully they'll get some bigger wins. You got to remember, last year in season 2, when San Francisco Shock was on top of the world, the Houston Outlaws came and beat them when Shaq was number 1 and Houston was supposedly like number 18 or something, and they beat them. So I'm in it for those kind of underdog wins this year. I don't think we got a championship. I don't think it's a championship year for the Outlaws. And I'm pretty late to the party on saying that. Like, I think anybody would have told you that months ago. but you got to have hope. And speaking of hope, I don't know how much hope's left for the Vancouver Titans after that 3-0 stomping they got from the Toronto Defiant. We talked a little bit about it in terms of the casting of Blizzard World early on, but yeah, Spice Adams said that he gave Toronto the kiss of death, and I think they had the kiss of death before he even knew who they were. To be honest, I don't think that had nothing to do with it. Toronto was looking better. There was a couple moments where Surefour really popped off, and we also talked. I don't know. I think we talked about this pre-show. You mentioned that they did put in Zeke, and it's more than 14 days after his 14-day contract with no announcement of a full-term thing. So, what the heck? Is he on the team? Is he on another 14-day contract? Did he get extended to a 16-day contract? Like, what happened there?
28-day contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And what 14 days is it? Is it 14 calendar days? Is it 14 days of games? Like, does the little break weeks count? Like, we have no clue. Like, I want public contracts more than ever now that we have 14-day contracts. But he signed a 14-day contract and then 20 plus days later plays for the team with no mention of another one. So maybe the league knows I'm sure the league knows what's going on, but come on now, let us have some info. We're trying to report on this shit.
Yeah, we didn't put that in the news because we didn't understand it exactly, but he did play for them. I think he looked good too. Like, he didn't look that bad. I really think that Vancouver, this could have been winnable. I mean, it was almost winnable last time they played. Overall, like, Toronto's looking slightly better. They finally have Numlock looked all right. He played Orisa most of the time, so usually you can't really say much. Like, he looked like a solid Orisa, whatever you want to put that in. But he looks solid that way. But overall, like, it's good to see Surefour back. It really is. He did pop off sometimes. It was fun seeing the new guys versus the veterans in a way, or it's like these guys just came out of tier 2 versus these guys who've been in the Overwatch League since season 1. I think everyone that they were playing that time was in the Overwatch League season 1. So except Zeke, I guess. But you got a question, like, is Zeke gonna take Agility's place? Is Agility's done for? Like, this guy, you haven't seen him for a bit. He's playing, like, Zeke's playing where Agility's would be. Is this goodbye for Agilities? Like, is he donezo? Is this it? But I mean, overall, I think Toronto, this is a win they needed. They should win by 3-0, and they did. They didn't look as clean as I wanted them to be, but it was a 3-0. It was good. It was a good win. So I'm proud of Toronto. Sad for Vancouver. I hope one day they can really show what they can do with these new players. But right now they're just not there yet. So maybe they're 1 or 2 signings away from greatness, but right now they're just not there.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. Toronto is that one of those other teams that I don't think really lived up to the sum of their parts. Like, I figured they would be a lot better than they are, and they really haven't. They don't have any strong wins this season. The only teams they beat are teams that they should have beat. So right now, I guess it's Toronto. I guess they're on the up and up for now. We'll see how they go in coming weeks, but we also, the last game of the weekend came with a little bit of drama. We had the LA Valiant absolutely roll the Washington Justice, and they've had Stitch and they've had Janu on their team long enough to be practicing now, and they got whooped. And Shaq's played just a game. He just played the game. Like, he was so good. There was a map, I think they said he had over 60% kill participation. Just some insane stats coming out of Shaq. And then after the win, one of the LA Valiant assistant coaches decided to take to Twitter for a little bit of trash talk, which I can be a fan of. But sometimes you take it too far, and it's not trash talking. It's just being almost crude. And I'm gonna go ahead and read this tweet for you that is now deleted. It is gone, and I'll let you think for yourself. I'll bleep out where it needs to be bleeped. Unter goes and says, "If you've ever wondered what Shaq's Overwatch bleep taste, please direct your query to the Washington Justice starting six." And that's some Kenny Powers stuff right there. That is harsh. Shaq's did pop off, but that's not how I would say it, man. What do you think about this, Anura?
Okay, so basically, a lot of the players also talk some trash. I don't have the tweets with me. They're like, "Yo, like, y'all suck ass," and I don't know what you guys are doing because they're like, "Listen, you let go of my boy Ellie Vote. You let go of all these great Western players." One guy said like, no Curry, no Corey, no win, GG's, because they basically mistreated Corey, I guess. And it's like I get it. Like, first of all, these players in LA Valiant really got a second chance on the team, or their first chance to really prove themselves. And then Washington Justice, instead of trying to pick up players that could be really good, go with like these old veteran talents. Get rid of a new player that's been really showing his stripes, and for a veteran player like Janu, and they're still so bad. They're so bad. You have Janu on your team, and you're this bad. I get it. You're bad. Like, it's just not good. Valiant was like, hey, I hope you guys know this was an absolute mistake. Complete mistake. You guys should not have done this. And that's exactly what they did with the statement. Like, I mean, easy 3-0. KSF, KSP, and Shaq looked great. Tank line looks solid. McGravy's looking like one of the better main tanks, not main tanks, off tanks. And like their support line's looking solid. Meanwhile, like Washington Justice support line is weak. The DPS line did not look good. And tank line is just it's not there. Roar is just not what you need right now. I mean, they still have a lot of work to do, and I don't understand that like Washington's trying to go this direct path, and this is not the end goal. Like the season's not the end goal; it's next season. But you've got to start signing some people for that. Like honestly, I understand midseason signings aren't the best, but like you've got to start doing something. You can't just like be this bad for the whole season. I can guarantee you Stitch was not the answer, and he's definitely not. So yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, you're right on. You're hitting it on the head. Stitch wasn't even. He was on the bench a majority of the time he was on the Vancouver Titans, and I think that he's kind of benefited just from having former Vancouver Titans, like attached to him. Like his name's associated with the Titans, and I think that that's pretty much his advantage because he I don't know, man. Like it's rough. It's rough for the Justice fans. But at the same time, part of me says this is what the org gets for the way they wrote that goodbye letter to Ballin and Bonnie. They haven't won at all. They haven't even looked. They haven't not even looked like they were gonna win a map. Period. Not even hopes of it since they wrote that letter. And it might be some bad juju on them. They got the bad juju on them. They put out negativity into the world, and now that's what their win rate is doing is going negative. Like what the heck? I was so high on the Justice at the beginning of this season because I thought Stratus and Corey were going to be good. I thought we were going to see Ellie Vote and Lolish, the like childhood friends that know each other so well, and we're going to work great together, come together. Lolish still MIA. We have no clue. Yeah, this is not just a loss in the game for the Justice. The Justice are taking an L this season, and I really didn't want to see it because I kind of, had hope that they were going to pull the Shanghai Dragons, be like the bottom of the barrel team, come back and be tough because I just, I talked about it, I like underdogs, but yeah, Justice take the L, and it's not just a game L. They are taking a fat L. Um, but now we've gone through all the games that we've seen this past weekend, and well, you got anything else to say before we move on to a preview of what we got coming up next?
No. I mean, like, I think last week's games were pretty solid. I don't mind the meta. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I do kind of miss Echo, but like overall, I've enjoyed it. I think this week's games, I mean, last week's games are kind of better than the week games we're about to talk about, but overall, like, good games. Good games.
Yeah, there's a couple games this week we will just go through pretty quick in our preview. But while we're at it, we'll go ahead and starting off Saturday, June 20th, we're going to have the Guangzhou Charge open up the day against the Seoul Dynasty. Charge we ain't seen since the May Melee, and Dynasty's always a question mark. So Charge definitely one of those teams with potential, but right now I'm actually kind of unsure. I know that Nero had to leave them for a little bit to renew some visa stuff, and I don't know if he's going to be able to come back instantly. If there's going to
He was already
be,
back.
he was
Good.
already back
He's back. May
in
Melee, yeah.
South Korea. I thought after the
he's
May
with the team.
Melee he was supposed to leave after May Melee and then like come to America and go back or something. Either way,
He's back either way.
okay, so he's playing with them, so they don't got that question mark. But yeah, Dynasty is just a big question mark there. Um, you think Charge are going to keep it up? They have the qualifiers for May Melee. They looked great. Then when the actual tournament come, they kind of fell victim to Seoul going on that little run to take them to the finals. So now this is kind of like a little bit of redemption for them without the cash on the line. You think Charge can get revenge against the Dynasty, or
No,
Dynasty?
I think Charge has this in the bag. So last time they played, it was a really close game. And honestly, like Dynasty looked really good and Charge looked solid, and it was just like a 2-3 loss, and like they barely lost. But Dynasty does not look good in this meta. I did say NYXL looked really good, but Dynasty did not look good either. So I really do see this as a Charge win. If not, like whatever, like it happens. But I really do think this is an easy Charge win, especially the way Dynasty has been playing lately. So
Yep. Yeah. Dynasty is just question marks in for the foreseeable future in my book. You never know. Following that game, though, we get the London Spitfire versus the Chengdu Hunters, and then rounding off the early morning games, we get the Hangzhou Spark versus the New York Excelsior. Um, I think both these. I think the London versus Hunters game. That's one of those question marks too. I think you actually earlier this episode compared London to Chengdu. So, yeah, that's one of those games. Really, anything can happen. And I personally don't know about you, but I would not want to be the Spark coming up against New York Excelsior this weekend because New York's hot right now. I know they didn't get the May Melee win, but they got the new star power in. They popped off this past weekend, and I think New York's ready to go. I think they're ready to start their run.
yeah, talking about the previous game we talked earlier was the London Hunters. I do see London win. I don't know how good a Hunter's going to be in this meta, but the Spark versus NYXL is much more interesting because Architect's in for Spark.
True.
I don't remember if they added anyone else, but I feel like Spark has improved since then. Maybe they added a coach, former Vancouver Titans head coach Pagion's now on Spark. Super cool. I hope he works out there. But these are two improved teams, and I'm super excited to see how they play. I do have NYXL winning this. I don't think Architect can really bring the firepower that Haxel brings to a squad. I do think Architect's really good. I just don't think he's that good. And overall, NYXL looks really strong. So I know we haven't seen Spark. They could actually be really good in this meta, but right now I do have NYXL over Spark. If you're talking, you're muted for me.
Oh yeah, my bad. That was my fault. Muted my mic. So, but yeah, no, I think that Spark I kind of forgot that Architect had joined them, so that definitely makes it a little bit closer game. But New York, they didn't look like a team to mess with this past weekend, and I kind of got a feeling they're on it for now. But later that afternoon on Saturday, we get to check out to start those games. We get San Francisco Shock versus Paris Eternal. So this is Sparkle's real test. Is he going to be able to play with the big boys? Like, is he like this is the test? They went 5 maps with Boston, but now they're going to come up against the Shock. So this game, I'm ready to watch. I'm going to have it on early. I'm going to probably get a pizza or something and be ready to watch these games on Saturday because there's a couple of them I'm pretty interested in how it's going to go. And like Sparkle played good, but I need more data. I need more data to verify the hype because it was just so high. But yeah, so how do you think that Sparkle's going to stand up against the San Francisco Shock?
Ooh, it's a hard bargain right here. It really depends how good Shock's on this meta. We didn't see him last week. I don't wait, did we? I just thought about no, we didn't see him last week. We don't know how good Shock's in this meta versus Paris. Paris had a really close game against Boston, but Boston's looking better. Blah blah blah. I do have Shock winning this because of the Shock. Sparkle looks great, but I really don't know how Paris Eternal can stack up to Shock even today. Maybe they're the foil though. Maybe they're that one team that can beat the Shock. I don't see it. I do have them losing to the Shock. I mean, Shock's they're so good. They've been good for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But I don't see them winning this.
Yeah, I got a rule right now for time being. Just don't bet against the Shock. You just can't bet against them. Paris, they do got that the David factor, like David and Goliath, because they were able to knock out Philly Fusion. So they kind of got that going. They are able to knock out some of those top teams, and I think this is gonna definitely be a good game. Like this will be fun to watch. But don't bet against the Shock. If you're a betting person, don't put money on a team to lose to the Shock unless you got the money to lose. Because really the Shock can come out and stomp anybody in the league any day. And excuse me. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't this is definitely a test for Sparkle, and if Paris pull off the win against the Shock, then I would maybe say Spike'll hype verified. But even if they
Sparkle?
lose, yeah, is that
Yeah.
what I say?
I think you said like Spike'll, like
Ow.
a pickle, but with or like a spike. I don't know, but yeah, if they do win off of Sparkle, it'd be insane. I don't see it happening exactly, but I do think Sparkle's still gonna have a strong game. They're definitely gonna look out for Sparkle. This dude is a beast. Do not forget that. But yeah, overall, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yep. And then after that, we get to see the Atlanta Reign versus the Toronto Defiant. So the battle of the red teams. Yeah, so Atlanta coming off a loss, Toronto coming off a win. I think statistically, you say Atlanta's the favorite for sure, but this is kind of like a little recipe for upset. I don't know how likely it would be, but there's some potential there. What do you think coming out of this?
This, if I had to bet on one game going the way of the underdogs, I think this is it. Really, Atlanta did not look that strong. I think either way, if Toronto's going to win, it's going to have to be in map 5. It's going to have to be. But I mean, Atlanta did not look strong. Toronto, they played against an easy opponent, yes, but they did look better than they did last time they played against the easy opponent. So I don't know. Overall, like, you've got to watch out for Toronto against this Atlanta team. Atlanta needs this win too. After having a loss, they cannot go 1-2. They're not going to make it through this next tournament if they go 1-2. Meanwhile, Toronto, if they win this, they're up 2. This is huge. So basically, it could go either way. But I don't know. But I mean, overall, like we can move on to the biggest game probably on both of our minds. The LA Gladiators versus Houston Outlaws.
I was mic muted.
You're muted? That's all.
Yeah,
Like,
my bad.
really?
My bad. No, I did that twice today. No, yeah, no, we're gonna right after that we get the showdown between both of our favorite teams. Your favorite team, the LA Gladiators, taking on my favorite team, the Houston Outlaws. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is a hype game for us because I don't have a lot of in real life friends that watch Overwatch League. So when the Houston Outlaws lose, I get roasted by like you, sometimes Totem, people like that. And if they lose to the Gladiators, I fully expect you to come in talking smack. And if Outlaws win, I'm going to do the same. So this game has some stakes on the line since it's my favorite team versus your favorite team. We've went ahead and decided to go ahead and announce we are going to do a watch party for the Houston Outlaws versus LA Gladiators game on our on the Overwatch League Network Discord. We're gonna have a watch party. I'm for sure 100% will be hanging out in the channel. I think you said you're gonna try to make it if you don't have work, but I
Yeah.
think I think this is just a really cool thing to do to try to get some of the community together to watch Overwatch League games together. And sometimes I've thought about us doing watch parties before, but it's always kind of been like, yeah, but how do we pick the game? No better game to pick to start it than this. You know, go ahead. Let me know. You go ahead. Tell me what you think about this. How well
Well,
you think the Gladiators are gonna do?
as much as I hate seeing hydration play against the Gladiators, I do think this is going to be a easy dub. I mean, Gladiators dismantled Atlanta. Atlanta's probably better than Houston Outlaws. Let's be honest. Um, but the matchup I actually really want to see is Mirror versus Blase on Doomfist. This is something
Oh,
that I've been
love it.
looking forward to for a while. Something I'm really like. I want to see it happen. I don't know if it's going to happen exactly, but I know Houston Outlaws are going to be looking at the LH Cloudy Ryan and being like, how do we stop this? But overall, I think Gladiators will probably come out with some new strats. They've got another week to think of them, see what they can do, and I think Gladiators got this. But if we're gonna talk about the watch party, I'm gonna try to make it. I'll get there as soon as possible. If I close, it's just not gonna be in the books for me, which sucks. But if I'm like mid shift or opening for my job, then I'll be fine. I don't know until tomorrow. I'll probably announce it on my Twitter if I'm able to do it and how we're going to do it. But if this goes well, I think we can probably try to figure out a watch party maybe every week, at least
Oh,
for
for
one of the
sure.
games. If not, like I know I'm open Sundays, but I mean I don't know what's going on like with my social life. But at least I don't work Sundays, so we could maybe like figure this out. If this works out, this could be something we do weekly. I'd love to talk to y'all about Overwatch. I think it's gonna be really fun if we're able to do this.
Oh, for sure. Like I know we kind of had the ideas before, but this is the perfect game for it. We'll go ahead. We'll update it weekly on if we're gonna do watch parties or not, because it's been a minute. I know we've had little groups hopping in and watching games in the past, but it's been a while, and I just like to get it going over on the Discord. Will be uh, LA Gladiators versus Houston Outlaws. This game takes place at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, June 20th. So I think that would make it 4 p.m. Pacific time. It's 7 p.m. Eastern, so it's the Overwatch League site converts it for everybody. So if you would like to hang out with, I'll be on it for sure. Anura hopefully will be there. We'll hang out and watch this game together. And you know what? While we're at it, you want to put a skin bet on it?
I mean, sure. I
Let's
could
do it.
always use another skin. Yeah, I can
Oh
always use another
yeah.
skin.
Oh
I've
man.
heard rumors of a Sinatra skin coming out. I might as well just get the whole thing. So yeah, skin bet 100 tokens, sure.
Let's go. I need that Dante Tracer, the Houston Outlaws Tracer, when they undoubtedly win. I definitely think that this is actually a matchup where Houston has some pretty good underdog potential to come up and win. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? Like,
don't.
Hydration used to play for the Gladiators, so that not only adds to the story to it, but it can get in their head a little bit. He used to be tight with Big Goose and Shaz. So,
Yeah, you still have Toronto Defiant too, but we're not gonna talk about
well, okay, so that's what the Gladiators versus Outlaws. I'm sure you'll hear about the results of that at the top of the show next week, and head over to our Discord if you want to hang out for the watch party. We'll talk about that more in the closing. But we got one more game after that. Will be the for the Saturday games. There's one more game, and it will be Dallas Fuel versus Vancouver Titans. Both teams coming off a loss this past week. Vancouver coming off quite a few losses, and Dallas has been kind of Decay's been trying to carry him. So we'll see how this game goes. I think this might be a good game for Dallas to get their feet under them. You think the Titans got a chance to win this game? Think this is going to be the new Titans' first win?
that. I mean, they have a chance. I really do think they have a chance. I think it's a very slim chance. It's a chance of Dallas just not that being that good. Because they did get 3-0'd and they didn't look the strongest, but I mean, it's a very small chance. This game, it has the upset potential of I have $5 to waste. If I'm gonna spend it, like I guess I'll put 5 on Vancouver. Screw it. Because I'm pretty sure the odds are probably really good. But other than that, I mean, this looks like it's gonna be a wash. Shockwave versus Decay looks pretty cool. Shockwave's easily Vancouver's best player right now. Dalton doesn't look bad either.
Yeah,
We
you're
didn't
right.
mention him earlier. He did not look bad. The problem is everything else of the Vancouver Titans. I know people like KSAA. He might be good when they have a solid support line, but right now the support line's not looking that good. Main tank, Shredlocks, he's looking all right, but like he's not looking really good. Like they should be mesh by now. They should be like really good at mesh. They're not. They need more signings. They need to do something else. They need to maybe even wait till next year. Like I don't know what else they can do. But overall, I don't know what they're supposed to do. I think Dallas, despite their records, a decent team. Get good, Vancouver. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Okay, and that actually will be the last game for Saturday. We don't have a ton of game. We only have 6 games Sunday, and we've been kind of running long, so I'm going to break these up to the Asian and North American games. First game we got is on Sunday. We got the Guangzhou Charge versus the Hangzhou Spark, and following that is the Chengdu Hunters versus the Shanghai Dragons. And wrapping up those Sunday morning games, we have New York XL versus London Spitfire. Um, most, with the exception of the first, well, really all these games seem kind of one-sided to me. What do you think?
So Charge versus Spark actually is not as one sided as people are saying. I think this could go really far. NYXL versus London, probably not. Hunters versus Shanghai, it's the Hunters, so like who knows, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty one sided. For Shanghai, of course. So yeah, I mean like these games, I'd look out for Charge versus Spark. Maybe if you're not gonna stay up for the games, just look at the scores. If there's any close scores, watch those games. If it's not, watch the highlights, do something, like at least watch some of these games. I feel like most people don't give Asia enough love because it's always been kind of one-sided. Also, they're so early. This is North America's talk. Asia is amazing. Like people are watching it like it's no one's business. But right now, like I feel like NA watchers or um, even EU watchers like don't pay attention to these games. Maybe pay attention to it a little bit more. But overall, yeah, I think these are mostly washes.
Yeah, right on. I think a lot of the Sunday games. I'll go ahead and let's read off these Sunday afternoon games. We got Boston Uprising versus the Philly Fusion, followed by LA Valiant versus Florida Mayhem, and wrapping the weekend up with a banger, the Washington
Banger alert.
Justice versus San Francisco Shock. These last three games,
Banger.
I think without a doubt, the most competitive game for Sunday is that LA Valiant versus Florida Mayhem. And even then, there's a chance Florida just rolls them. So Boston versus Philly, one-sided on Philly side, and I don't think there's a chance in the world that the Washington Justice beat the Shock. I'd bet my car that the Shock beat the Justice. So I'm just saying, I'm not
Do I
going
get the
to.
car? Do I get the car?
Bro, it wouldn't even make it to you. Let's be honest. I drive an
Uh,
87 Pontiac. It would not make it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, all these games look really fucking one-sided.
Well,
Oops.
no, the Valiant versus Florida could actually be a good game.
Yeah. You're right.
Let's put it out here. For me, I think that's my second best game. Maybe third. I think this is the second best game. I think maybe it's between right now. What is it? Chance Fisher's Shock versus Paris or LA Valiant versus Florida, with Charge and Spark always like kind of could go one-sided or be really close. But I mean, overall, like this could be a good game. I'm excited to see BQB versus KSP. Shax versus Yaki sounds pretty nasty as well. I mean, Valiant could actually play, and now that there's like a week of gameplay between the two, I do trust the Valiant staff to try to make some comps and some comp switches to really try to counteract Florida. It's like a risky one, but I think they could do it. I think Valiant could actually pull off this upset. I'm not saying they are, but I see this as it's an option.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the gonna be closest game Sunday, but I don't know. I'm really seeing Shax versus Yaki. That's another highlight DPS matchup because Shax has been really good for the Valiant, but so is Yaki. And then this past week, BQB stepped up too. Florida's at that level where their DPS are on the level of just about able to go toe to toe with anybody. So this is just this is a real test for both teams. I think whoever wins this game kind of like says a lot for their team because the way you gotta think about it. These are both teams that I think we had unanimously had Valiant in like the bottom 2 or 3, and then I think Florida Mayhem was a bottom 5 so team for most of us. And now we're looking at Florida Mayhem as the 5th ranked team statistically, and LA Valiant, who some of us thought would be the worst team in the league, are 7-6 positive record, 8th in the league. So this is like the story of two teams that we thought weren't going to be good. Like preseason, if you would have said, "Hey, what's that LA Valiant versus Florida Mayhem matchup going to be like?" I would have been like, "Snooze." Now we're talking about how it's the hypest game of Sunday. So just says a lot for the teams.
It does, and it says more about the coaches of these teams than it does the players. I think Kuki and Packing 10 should be in the running for Coach of the Year, 100%. Easily, like these are like my two top people for this. I mean, people can argue maybe Rush for Paris Eternal, but Paris has had some on and off games. Valiant has showed up to most games and looked really competitive. They had some really hard times when they played Shock multiple times. But like overall, like they're looking good. They're positive. That's insane. Most people saw this team as like maybe at most like 15th, but with the additions of players like KSP, and early on Gig, but now it looks like Dreamer is actually a really good pick. Los Angeles Valiance is rising, and then BQB after last year looks really good this year. Addition of Yaki and Gundam Gyms looked really solid. You've got to give these coaches to really improve these players that did not look as good just through coaching. Like, these are two really high class coaches coming at each other. I am so hyped for this match now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know how much I've wanted this until I've seen it now. I think last time Valiant destroyed Florida, but now it's a new day, and I'm excited to see it.
For sure, for sure. And you know, that kind of wraps up what we had to talk about for the preview of this coming week. So we'll go ahead and close the show out now. And if you want to leave a review, be sure to head over to your favorite podcatcher and leave us a review. We're always looking for ways to improve the show. You leave a review, we'll read it on air, as you know, long as there's not a lot of profanity or something. So leave us a review, we'll read it. And Anura, you want to tell everybody about Overwatch Recall?
Yeah, you can find additional Overwatch content on our website via Overwatch Recall. Every Sunday we release the weekly recall that the episodes released within the last week. More info. For more info, follow OW Recall on Twitter at OW Recall. You can also support us via Patreon if you'd like to show some additional support to our network of Overwatch shows. Consider pledging via Patreon. Tiers start at just $1 a month. More information can be found at www.patreon.com/OWL network. You too can join the likes of our master and above Patreons Daniel Owl Kasha, Agent Life, and 044 in helping our network grow. And Booger, how can they contact the show?
If you want to contact the show, you can send us an email to contact@owlnshow.com. We have a website. It is owlnshow.com. You can find up-to-date info on Twitter at owlnshow. We have past replays of all past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We have a Discord channel that is discord.me/OWLN show. This is where you go to catch the watch party for the Houston Outlaws versus the Los Angeles Gladiators. Keep your eyes on the Discord. We might be doing a little bit more watch parties and stuff like that coming in the future. If you want to catch the show live, we stream shows live on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLN show. And we are part of a larger network here at Overwatch League Network. The network's called Overwatch League Network. And we have other shows that come on different days. You can catch our show, Overwatch League Network, airing Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific time or 9 p.m. Eastern. You can catch Overwatch League by the Numbers, which airs Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. There's Heroes Never Die, a variety Overwatch show that airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And there's Tavern Tales, the Hearthstone Battleground podcast that airs Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, but that's actually at twitch.tv/TavernTalesHS. And if you want to contact the host, you can contact me directly on Twitter at BoogerBrains with 2 Z's, BOOGERBRAINZZ. And how can everybody contact you, Anura?
You can contact me on Twitter at AnuraOW, ANURAOW. I tweet. Come check me out. And I think we have a new segment. You want to bring them into the new segment?
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of shout-outs. Shout out to Rike Dog for hanging out in Twitch chat early this episode. Shout out to the Happy Little Accidents GGNA team. And shout out to my mama for teaching me how to talk.
I'm gonna shout out tier 2. Shout out to Doge for winning it all. I think that's pretty hype. And I think it was Hurricane who won EU contest. Good job. I hope I see most of you guys in the league. I think you guys are ready for it. These guys were insane. Go check out the games if you haven't. They were amazing. And after that, I think we're good.
Last shout out, Spice Adams, and we'll leave you on this.
You look like an egg, and you've never had a slushie.
Have a good night.